In this lesson, we will go further with painting the sphere. First of all, let's go to the sphere layer, and we want to soften the edges around the sphere. These hard edges interfere with the illusion of 3 dimensions. So now what I would do to do that would be that you have to unlock the transparency, hitting that button. And there's another tool in here you're going to learn about. It's called the blur tool. If you don't see it right away, it's inside with the smudge tool. Now I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm going to set the strength to 100%. And we're going to run this around the edge until we're satisfied with the way it looks. So starting here where we know the sphere is now blended into the background. It looks very hard where it's against these dark areas. Shouldn't be equal. You might pick an area where you feel that it should be a little bit sharper. And I feel maybe it should be sharper right there. And just pick that as this is the sharpest area. Keep going. This is a very soft brush, doesn't do much, but slowly. It may be difficult in the video here to see it, so I'm going to zoom in to 100% and look at it, and you can see the edge slowly getting softer. Now we're going to back out. Now you can see that the sphere looks a lot more real without the soft edges, without the hard edges, that is. And I'll do the same thing with back edge of the table. Again, unlock transparency, make sure you're on the table layer. Now we could do it this way, but we could also use a filter. Go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and you have a box that comes up, and there's a preview button so that you can see it previewed live on the screen. There's also a little box, and if you take this little box, you can take the little and indicate where it is, but it only shows the one layer at a time. So let's go and give it quite a bit of blur. That's too much. That looks about right. You can play around with these factors. They have a lot to do with how the image looks. Another thing we need to do, which is a little bit more difficult, is what I would call an occlusion shadow. We would experience a little darkening around the sphere and around the ground plane from just the ambient light in the room. And right now we have a cast shadow, turn it off, and we have the way the sphere is painted in. That's one light source with maybe a little bit of light coming off the table. But we also need to make another shadow layer. So we'll make a new layer and double click, and just going to call this Shadows 2. Again, shadow layers almost always should be in multiply. And we can lock its position so we don't move it. I'd like to see this cast shadow seems awfully dark in relation to the rest of the environment. So I'm going to take its opacity down a little bit. That's too far. So I'm taking it down a little. Depending on what color and value you picked, you may want to make this value be just a little darker than your core shadow. One of the things to try is to make it the same as the core shadow by squinting and using the slider, and then just make it a little darker. bringing it back up. So 60% is pretty close to what's there. I'm going to bring it up to 70 for now. Then we can see our ambient occlusion much easier. Let's lock the cast shadow layer. Let's lock the table layer from painting using the painting lock. So these lock. Let's lock the sphere too. It's very easy once you get a number of layers going to paint on the wrong layer and end up with a real mess. So I'm going to go to shadows and I'm going to get the brush, again, the very, very soft brush we have, soft round 100, make it much larger. And I'm going to set its opacity way down to 5%. I can do that there. Maybe that's a little too large. And now, just from experience, I know it needs to be both on the background and on the sphere here. So I'm going to start by painting in. I need to have a darker tone. Let's use 40%. And we're just darkening right in this area to start with.